Hey guys, BJ and Game Day back for another week. Round 15 are we up to, mate?
Yeah, mate.
How'd we go last week?
11.51.
Yep, solid.
Jumped up 500 overall, so into the top 2,000.
Nice.
Happy enough with that. I think around that 1200 was par.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty happy with that. What about yourself, mate?
Mate, yeah, just scraped over the 1107. Couple of things hurt, sort of vice and captain choices, but overall a pretty good week. I think JT was my worst player, so when your worst player scores in the 30s, it's never going to be too bad a week. Just didn't really have anyone that went large, but I think I'm back up in top 6,000 now, so yeah, again slowly climbing up the ladder. Mate, the league went awesome. We had everyone score over a ton, and we were all headed by Wayne at Hell's Grannies. Massive score, 1,307. What did you say he was ranked for the week?
22nd overall.
22nd overall out of 130,000 odds. So, mate, great effort, Wayne. Massive week. It's always those weeks that you hope and you're praying that you can maybe pick up $1,000 or whatever it is, but unfortunately just shy of that, mate. But definitely on the way up. I think Wayne moved into the top 1,000.
Yeah, mate. So he's moved into 762 and is 3 points behind Cameron.
Nice.
14, 7, 10, so pretty close there. So we've got two blokes in the top 1,000, and yeah, a very competitive league with 8 out of 10 of us averaging over 1,000, and the guys, the other two guys still scoring heavily as they did this week. So it's been a really strong league. We've jumped into 82 league ranking overall.
That's massive.
League average of 10.21, and just after we've come out of the buys, that's pretty strong. So good work, boys. Yeah.
Definitely. Now this week, mate, what are we looking forward to?
Yeah, so I guess savour it because it's going to be the last full round of footy Supercoach wise for a couple of weeks. Obviously with the rep round next weekend and the first ever Origin game on a weekend.
It'll be a bit strange.
Anyway, yeah. So there'll be the break there, and obviously the Denver test, the test over in the United States between New Zealand and England.
Yep.
Which will have an effect probably on Supercoach.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that, obviously.
Kearney's apparently said he won't have any players that play in that test back up, so that could be an interesting one. But yeah, just looking forward to the full round. All the Origin players back now. Obviously, Cook and the boys are all back for South.
Some big news out of the Denver test. What you're talking about, obviously, with the few retirees during the week for the New Zealand squad. Probably the biggest one, Supercoach wise, Simon Mannering. Probably hasn't hit the heights this year that we've seen in the past years. Hasn't really had that starting spot nailed down. 31 years old this year, so maybe time's just starting to tell on him as well. But it could be that fact where you retire from rep footy and it just gives you more of that chance to concentrate on club footy. We've seen it in the past with a lot of other players, and then they just sort of step up. So, who knows? Who knows? He could turn. He could bounce back. I think he's at juicy price now, sort of mid 400s, which for, I guess, a player of his calibre from the past, you could have a punt at him.
Yeah, last year he was one of the must-have back rowers. So I guess it just depends on those minutes because injuries obviously hampered him a fair bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you speak of taking off the rep footy might improve. I mean, you just got to look at Cam Smith because since he's decided to pull the pin, he's back. So he's back in a big way, but it looks like so.
And I mean, look, back-to-back tons in the last couple of weeks. 8-10 weeks into the season, we all wrote him off. We all said, what's going on? Everyone wanted to be on Cook. I was fortunate enough that I never brought Smith in till about round 9 or 10, so I've reaped the rewards there. But I mean, back-to-back tons. Melbourne Storm play Newcastle this week, who definitely aren't at their best. The better Melbourne are getting, and that Munster looks at 5'8". I can't see why he doesn't go back-to-back and throw in another ton this week.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one this week because you've got South playing Para on the Thursday as well. Cookie with a full week's rest. I'd like to think he's probably going to be in probably his best damaging form. So you've got to choose sort of one of the two. A lot of people might look to Loop, have the vice on Cookie this week. That means you can't captain Smith if you've got him. So you've got to make a decision about which one you want to go with.
Exactly.
I think it's one of the key things of this.
It's always those hard things, and when you've got those single position players. We've seen it all year with Teddy and Turbo at the back. on the odd occasion where you wanted to do the same. So, yeah, both up against sort of the weakest opposition at the moment, considering form. So, a big choice to make.
Absolutely, mate. And obviously with Coruscant getting injured, I think a lot of people will try to bring in Cam Smith if they don't have him as well. So
yeah,
a
couple of big injuries last week at Coruscant. Sort of talking 8 to 10 weeks with a badly broken foot. Jordan Rapana, the other one that sort of went down, torn hemi, sort of, and a pretty bad one. So grade 3, I think. Yeah. They're talking 8 to 12 weeks. So unfortunately, I was one of the people who brought in Rapana last week. The week before, I've been in Nofaluma, so I'm in a little bit of a centre wing curse at the moment. I offloaded George Jennings, and he's looked great the last 2 weeks. So a little bit tough there, a little bit tough for injuries, but overall not too much going wrong around the park at the moment. You know, most of the good players are on the field, I guess.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing on the run home now. I think a lot of people have got sort of 10 to, I don't know, if you've burnt all your trades, you've got around 10 left. A lot of people have that 10 to sort of 16 range, somewhere in there, most people that I'm seeing. And you can't predict injuries, so if you're going to take the punt of having, you know, half a dozen for the run home, I know myself, I've been pretty lucky this year with injuries in terms of that, so I'm just hoping I can continue, because that's not a lot of trades to have left for the run home. Exactly. Now,
made a little bit of a return to form last week for a lot of the old guys. We had obviously Ryan James hit the form of 1 or 2 years ago. Paul Gallen rewound the clock a little bit. I think he was obviously helped a lot there by Valentine Holmes' big break through from the 10 metre line. Jared Hayne obviously scored a double and put some points on the board. So, he may be a prospect some people are looking at. Doesn't play around 17, but we all know the confidence a player like that has. When he gets better and better, he will step up even more. So, and again, we talk about Cam Smith again, and massive return to form.
And obviously the return of SJ as well. His first game back, and he showed why he's much needed this year. The support, the setup, the pace. He hasn't lost any.
You've got to have him. We talk about buy holds and sells and things like that. They're all over online. Here's one guy. If you do not have him, you've got to buy him in. Find a way. I'm in a bit of a predicament this week, trades wise. With Rapana getting injured, I'm really, really weak in the centre wing, so I need to get rid of him. I was looking at going to Jared Croker. It leaves me 5,000 short of going from JT to SJ now. Mate, JT has absolutely just killed me this year. Again, I kept him in last week. I talked about after getting rid of Milford and keeping him for the whole season, doing the same with JT last week. Unfortunately, he scored 67 odd, I think, against whoever it was they played, and I left him in considering they were playing Parramatta, and he just had another shocker. I think mid-30s points. So. Ideally, that's what I'd love. I'd love to go Rapana to Croker and then JT to SJ. I can't just make it happen this week. So I definitely want SJ, but I've got to get rid of Rapana. So I've looked at the stocks in the centre wings, and the guys who play 17, there's not many out there. I think we've talked about it during the week. The only other guy who, on previous form, you'd want to get in, and I'm talking years past, is Vunivalu. But this year he's been terrible.
Absolutely, and the other thing that's made complicated by is the fact if he does get picked for the Denver test, depending on what you read and believe, he might not back up the week after. So I've heard Kearney say he won't let SJ go for the test, but I'm not sure if that's his decision to make.
I think obviously the NRL have taken a pretty hard stance that they want to evolve the game. There's talk obviously of the round 1 in California in 2019 going ahead, so they do want to take on the states, and if you're gonna try to expand the game, you need your best players there, and hands down on form this season, regardless of the injuries, SJ's been the best player in the comp.
Absolutely, and he's one of the most exciting to watch. Regardless him to Avasa Sheck, I think that they've got to have him play. So Supercoach wise, it's a bit of a conundrum. Do you bring him in just for the week, this week? If you don't, next week's our Super Trade week where we get the 5 trades, and if you want to bring him in that week, you face the prospect of him potentially not playing, but you'll know a little bit more next week because you'll know whether he's been picked for a start or whether he hasn't. I think they play the Cowboys this week. He could produce again. He could turn up again. He's got a break even of around 50. So I mean, if he scores 100, you could face the prospect of having to pick him up for over 700,000 in a couple of weeks. So it's a tough one. Tough call.
Now we talk obviously about a few players there before. There are a few key players with low break evens this week. but obviously higher priced. You can take the opportunity, obviously, to get these guys in on form and reap the rewards, but if you're going to get them in with how, I guess, vital trades are at this time of the season, you're probably not going to get rid of them again. So over the next couple of weeks, as Brent said, we've got the big trade week next week, the super trade. Every trade's vital. You need as many on the park for 17 as you can, but you don't want to leave yourself short for the run home. So definitely some strategies to be thought out over the next couple of weeks. But like you've got Fergo, who's been in great form for the Roosters, has been obviously left out of that New South Wales side. Must have a point to prove because he's been scrappy in the past couple of weeks, but he's just been everywhere. He's just wanted to get involved in everything. So definitely sending a message to Brad Fittler about not getting picked. But that said, the two guys who were on the wings for New South Wales did an absolutely sensational job. So barring injury, those guys aren't going to go anywhere.
And I think Kotrick might be in line in front of him as well, just based on the fact he was named in the squad. So I think Fergo could be a couple back.
So I think Fergo is right. I don't think his form's going to change, guys. I think he will hold strong. The only doubt there is that he doesn't play 17, with the Roosters have played 13 already. So, again, can you do with him out for that week? But you need to get him before he goes through the roof. If he scores in the next 2 weeks another 80 or 90 or 100, he's going to stay towards that 600 mark, even go above.
Well, and he's averaging more than Latrell Mitchell at this point. I think he's averaging about 60 now. Latrell's only high 57 or something like that. So he's definitely in form, and if you're picking him now, you have to pick him based on the fact you believe he's a keeper till the end. So.
Now, the other, obviously we talked about SJ. The other massive in this week, I think you've got to get, if it's not SJ, if you needed to, the money is Cameron Smith. I think he's about 635,000. Back-to-back tons is what we've been waiting for. He's got a minus 16 break even. So, you know, even if he bangs out a 50 or a 60 this week, that's going to be another raise of 40 or 50k. So we're starting to see the form we were hoping we'd see all season. Well, we weren't because we started with Cook and Coruscant, but anyone who did, he has hit form. So definitely one to consider. Mate, what are your thoughts on Gal? Do we put last week off as a one-off this season?
Oh, look, in my opinion, I mean, if people are looking for pods last week, and he was quite cheap, I think he was around 480k or something like that, which was ridiculously cheap for Gal. When you think about it, fair enough, but I mean, I don't personally put him in the top 4 or 5 second row forwards for the run home.
Yep.
And he doesn't play 17, so I mean,
maybe just to steer clear.
Yeah, I personally won't be picking him because on my back row is pretty much set, and I'm not spending that sort of money. Good luck to anyone that did pick him up, and well done, that obviously paid off on the weekend. But in my opinion, I don't see him returning to keeper form this year based on what I've seen. I could be wrong, but yeah, I've got no time for...
What about another one now? We haven't talked about him before, but Sam Burgess. Look, I'm not too sure. I think he's priced around that 5-10 mark as well. Form-wise this year has been a little bit patchy, disrupted by suspensions, an injury here or there. You've had him since the start, still got him, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I've had him in, had him out, had him back in for a long time now. With people looking for that point of difference come 17, is he just a hold?
Oh, I think he is. He banged out 70 on the weekend, and he's not cheap. He does come at still a premium. When you would have bought him probably mid 500s anyway. I think if you've held him till this point, you hold on to him. Yep. I just think there's not much. I've still got him in the front row, and there's still obviously Kick-Out now being injured. Yep. That's another one for a couple of weeks. Like I said, there's just not much chop up in that front row. Yeah. So I think unless you're going to just run 2 front rowers like a Tapau and a Fafita and not even worry about him and go a completely different back row, I'm going to keep him there just to give a bit of depth for that front row. But yeah, hopefully he can just get some consistency back because he's quite annoying. If he bumps out those low 50s, it's a bit frustrating. Yeah. But if he can keep those 60s, 70s going, that's the Sam we're used to. And he hasn't got a meat pie yet. So
that's probably the biggest.
That's what puts him over that
unusual thing,
and that gets him going. In a game where he scores a try, he tends to just really open up a lot more, and he can score those 110 pluses, but we haven't seen it yet. But
the guys have got bragging rights. Tommy and George Burgess have scored a few tries. Tommy got a double last week or the week before. These guys have got the bragging rights over him at the moment. Semi is the best brother in the team. is not going to like that. So I'm sure he'll cross the stripes sooner or later.
I think maybe you potentially could see it this weekend, potentially against Para. I mean, I know they've got a big pack, but Newcastle absolutely cut them to bits up the middle, believe it or not. When we played them last week. So we'll see what happens, mate.
Yep.
So I think obviously another one, Gareth Widdop.
Yeah, well, look, obviously, Widdop we've been talking about for the past few weeks, trying to find the right time to get him in.
And I don't think it's this week.
It's not this week
it's
still.
It's not this week.
What, break even of 104?
100 something, yeah.
Price-wise, he's pretty attractive at the price he's at, but with that break even, the Denver test coming up, we can probably just hold off for another week or so, especially considering the form players like Cameron Smith and SJ are in.
Yeah.
They're definitely buys before Widdop. But even though his scores haven't been as fantastic in the past 6 or 8 weeks, he's still been solid.
Yeah, I guess he's just throwing those 20s and 30s in between the 70s and we saw a 90 only a few weeks ago. So he's a really interesting prospect come, that next week or the week after, because he's going to be potentially, under the 500k mark. And based on that early season form and the fact he plays 17, you have to give him a thought if you don't have him already. Yeah.
Mate, we touched on captains earlier in the week. Where are you going with your captain, do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a tough one, obviously. I don't want to captain Smith against my blokes.
Yep.
And obviously with Cookie playing Para on the Thursday night, he's a real VC option.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm leaning. But I also like the idea of Burgess or even Cody Walker as a VC against Parramatta, so there's plenty of options there. If I go the Cody Walker option as the VC, I'm likely to just chuck it on Smith. I can't find a captain anywhere else apart from just going the stock standard for feeder, which isn't too exciting. Yeah, maybe have a look at Tapau. He's been in a bit of
Still
form.
Been strong, yeah. He's really held his form, hasn't he?
They're the ones that stand out for me, either like a Smith or a Cook, but obviously, you can only pick one of them to do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Maybe just this is a week you straight out Captain Cook and try and get a jump on everyone. I know that's usually fair.
It's a big call,
but maybe this is a week to do it where...
like you say, he's had that week off.
Yeah.
You'll still be buzzing from that New South Wales Origin win. And we've seen it time and time again. These guys who go into an Origin camp just come back better. They really do. And here's a guy who never got the opportunity until he was 26. Even for first grade football, let alone Origin. I reckon it'll hold him in great stead for it.
Yeah, and I think Danny Levi caught those big para forwards and happened a bit when we played them with some inside balls and stuff like that. A couple of our big men crossed in the middle of the park. So if they're going to be expected to make like sort of 40, 50 plus tackles and do a lot of the work, I think Cookie could tear them apart. So I'm actually considering captaining Cook. But I'm also considering the VC on Walker, Captain Smith.
Okay.
But I'll see how the team lists look for that Thursday night game and go from there. If Farah maybe finds his way on the bench, I don't know, that might change, but we'll see what happens.
Look, mate, same headaches. Walker is someone I've been thinking about lately as the VC. Again, just because of Cam Smith's form and the fact they're playing the Knights, I really think Melbourne are just going to get on that little bit of a roll where you win 5 or 6 straight and you win them well. One other thing I'm looking at is Munster. Just as that sneaky pod captain. Now, it's always hard in a match where Melbourne play brilliant to see him outscore Smith when he's playing 5'8". If he's playing fullback, different story. If Munster was playing fullback in that game, I'd put him up for 120, 130. The fact that Jerome Hughes has been covering Slater, they look a better team, Melbourne, with Hughes there and Munster at the 6. But I think I'll probably go Walker into Smith as the captain. But that could change depending on sort of what I hear everywhere else. Yeah,
and I guess that's the only other thing with Melbourne. Most of that attack is on that left side to Munster, whilst you prefer him at fullback, sort of roaming around. That's why Vunivalu's not doing anything, because he's on the right and everything's going down that Munster at car edge. But I just think it's a matter of time before Vunivalu and Chambers sort of.
Well, you got the Magpie last week, so
and he got nothing.
Albeit it was only off a bomb, and he's only scraped together 30 odd points. But sometimes just to cross that line, that's what they need,
Well, talking of trades, obviously Vunivalu's on the list. For me. We've said that he hasn't scored great, but I think he's too cheap. 330k. Playing Newcastle this week, he's got the class there, like plenty of hundreds in him if he gets going. He misses Cronk a fair bit.
Cronk was that right-hand side player.
All
those
those
kicks.
sorts of things. So
He just doesn't have the delivery this year that he used to get.
But I mean, I kicked myself not getting on that car at basically the same price earlier in the year, and we all know how that turned out.
We did. We talked about it for a couple of weeks leading up to him blowing
I
up.
think it's too good of a prospect to overlook.
Yep.
The fact that he plays 17, he's pretty cheap. You could maybe wait a week, but if he turns up this week, you miss those points. So probably leaning towards him this week.
Yep.
But he's not a must-have, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
That I'm looking at. And Rapana for someone. Premium in the centres, we've talked about it. I think Aitken, I like the idea of Aitken. I know you...
Yeah, look, I offloaded him. I let him go going into the bye week, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember who I brought in for him, but he just started to slow down a little bit. Obviously, he scored that try 3 minutes in on the weekend and pumped out another 70, sort of 80 odd. I love his base stats as a centre. I think Aitken is an absolute workhorse, but I just think the Dragons are going through that little bit of a lull period in their attack, and I just couldn't see him maintaining the numbers he was scoring to start the season. Whereas I looked at blokes like Latrell and Ferguson, and even Addo Carr, when I could have got the chance to get him in, there were the signs there that those guys were getting better. Aitken I don't feel that much for. So Isan Masters is another one I feel like I haven't had him throughout the season. I've had him in draft at certain periods, but he's just going huge, and he gets better and better. Again, he's one I'd look at getting in, but again, doesn't play 17. So some tough decisions in the centre wings at the moment.
And there's a lot of, like you said, Jared Croker's there, a pretty good price. Even guys like Latrell, if you don't have him, you could start thinking about, because I mean, there was the emergence of Latrell Mitchell after.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wasn't stamped as one of the best centres young centres in the game before Origin, he has to be now.
Yeah, definitely.
He really showed his colours. So.
Yep.
What about any other trades you're thinking of?
No, not really, mate. I'm just trying to get Rapana out and SJ in, so I'll figure out what happens there. It's tough because I look at my team and I'm absolutely stoked with it across the park, pretty much. But that's a bad thing because in round 17 I'll probably only have 6 players. So it's getting to that situation where you've got to trade out to have numbers for 17, but that's only going to leave me with 5 or 6 trades to come home with to get any of those guys either back in or cover injuries. So, look, not happy times. We learn every year in Supercoach what we should have done better. Unfortunately, I'm a player who just enjoys trading. I'm a trade addict. I'm not a Supercoach addict. I'm a trade addict. It's my drug of choice for the week. It hurts me to only trade one person. I can't even think about trading 0, let alone So it's pretty tough. But what about yourself, mate?
Oh yeah, just looking at those centre spots, I think Stuart Richie Kenner, got Rapana there. Sarko's probably getting nearly ready to sell now. He's
look, for me a keeper.
He's peaked.
For me a keeper. I don't care whether he's peaked. I just think, again, Nikorima actually looks like he's playing that right side well for the Broncos. I think if you've got a Sarko, I'm looking at other people to trade out. He's still kicking goals. There's no sign of him losing that. He just looks solid, and
it's a pain. I thought, when I held him at the time, hopefully he can make a bit more money, but he's now 530k. He's got 50 break even.
Yep.
And he pumped out a 70 on the weekend. Like you said, he kicks the goals. He plays 17.
Next to kick out,
it's a really hard trade to have to make.
And considering Kickout's injury now, next to Kickout, I thought he was the best buy of the season. I thought Kickout was ahead. Yeah. Now that Kickout's going to be out for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, however long it is, I think Asako takes over.
Yeah, so a few headaches there. I don't know if I should cash in on him, but that's a player for 17 that I'll lose. But
definitely.
Beauty of Supercoach, mate. So.
Guys, give us your thoughts at home. That's it for another week from the guys here. Brent and Joshy, we'll see you all next week. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and any tips you got, send them our way. Cheers.